What, due to experience, do you know not to F with? Vibrating logs in the forest, don't investigate, don't kick it, don't throw things at it. It is always hornets. Reminds me of the post that said something like no matter how superstitious you aren't, you still shouldn't go near suspiciously clean bones in the forest, because those bones may have been cleaned off by fire ants that decided to nest around the bones for more convenient access. I'm darn glad we don't have fire ants where I live. The other week I was driving home and I felt a stabby burny sensation in my side. Had no clue what it was until I pulled into my driveway and found a bunch of fire ants in my car. One had crawled between my shirt and pants, then freaked out when it was stuck and bit the sh out of me. I had at least 4 bites on me. It's been 2 or 3 weeks and they're still red. Fire ants. I've gotten fire ants in my pants before and it's the worst, but I really gave my co-workers a laugh when I started frantically stripping for no apparent reason. Aggressive drivers, just let them go. Same. I learned that people like to drive while armed, and they will pull it out for any little thing these days. Yep. I remember when I was in middle school there was a grandma and very young grandson who honked on the horn after a dude cut her off and almost hit her. The guy retaliated by shooting at the car, killing the grandson. This happened a few years back as well. Lady mouthed off in traffic, and her kid got shot in the backseat. I stopped honking at crazy drivers a few years ago after hearing these stories. I just complain out loud in my car and get out of their way. Edda. Changed Outlook to out loud. Stupid autocorrect. If someone at work tries to badmouth someone else and they ask you about what you think about that person, just keep your mouth shut. If they are bad-mouthing others to you, then it's very likely that they're bad-mouthing you to others as well. Keep such people at arm's length. Sometimes it's also perverse stuff like the person is close to management and they're a plant. There's a lady in my current job who I suspect is a plant because she's asked me too many direct questions about my opinion about the job company co-workers. We work hybrid and when my boss is out he travels a lot. She arranges video calls with me on the days I'm supposed to be in the office, never on the ones I'm at home. So it's all a bit Susie give her standard job interview answers to everything, but it's absolutely exhausting. We recently had a team dinner and afterwards we walked to the station together. Again, she started with the direct questions, but even more aggressively. I think she thought I'd have a loose tongue because of the wine. So I had to be super switched on the entirety of the 20-30 minute walk. She's backed off a bit now, which is okay, but I dread talking to her. See, oh my god, I can't believe the boss gave you this work today, me. It's a mundane, normal part of the job. He's such a jerk. Right, me, nah. My old boss, she was something. She would ask for unreasonable things. Here's an anecdote. Literally 5 minutes later, boss's wife, assistant manager, come to my office, locks door. How dare you speak ill of my husband? Me. Did your husband time travel and have a exchange? Ladders. I worked in an ed at a major trauma center and the number of otherwise healthy people who came in, paralyzed or soon-to-be from falling off ladders was eye-opening. I climb trees for a living. I've been in 100-foot tall trees plenty of times, no worries. If I get 8 feet up on a ladder, I start to get nervous. They're great tools, but can be sketchy as a motherfucker. One of the sketchiest things I've ever done at a job is use a 50-foot ladder. Was absolutely terrifying. Any ladder over 810 feet should have an anchor man at the bottom making absolutely sure that effer isn't going anywhere at the base. Always let the skinny guy do the ladder work and leave the heftiest as the anchor. Any ladder over 12 feet shouldn't be in a frame ladder. Should be leaned against a sturdy object and have multiple tie-off points so it doesn't move while you're climbing. The first time you climb it, you should bring line with you to tie off at the very top. Head and jury had a single friend that got into a barroom scuffle. He got knocked down hit his on a tiled floor, got back up and said that's it for tonight. He lived alone and that was on a Friday night, when he didn't show for work on Monday with a no call. That raised some eyebrows. When he didn't show on Tuesday, someone went out to his place and broke in after no answer. He was dead on the kitchen floor. Doctor guessed a brain bleed. I think about him every time I see a video of someone getting knocked out. Edit. It's only been a couple of hours since I've posted this comment and I don't regret saying it. But I'm sorry for having dredged up so many sad stories. Movies and TV shows conditioned us to think fights are no big deal. They are actually super dangerous and shouldn't be entered into lightly. This is why we have the One Punch Can Kill campaign in Australia. If you hit someone on a night out, or coward punch anyone, you're pretty much viewed as the lowest of low in the eyes of Australians. Like you're in the same category as murderers. We don't tolerate it. Knocking someone out cause you can't handle your liquor is one of the most un-Australian thing you could do. Love the idea of that campaign. We need that here in America. One Punch has an 8-year jail sentence here. Waves, newbie body surfer, misjudged a 6-foot wave and nearly drowned. I was standing about waist deep at the beach and a wave knocked me on my butt, pulled me out a little and washed me back up. All I remember was sky and water. My friends thought a riptide got me. Riptide had a hold of me a couple years back in Florida. I didn't even know what they were at that point. I ended up getting out of it by walking parallel to the beach towards some rocks. And it just so happened that walking parallel is exactly how you're supposed to get out of them. Lucky me? If you were still standing, you were likely just caught in the undertow. Riptides are much more dangerous. Not immediately washing and disinfecting an open wound. My mom knew a guy that had to have his leg chopped off because a cut got infected. It was insane. Chop. The infection kept coming. Chop some more. He survived, but he lost a leg. Spent a long time in the hospital. My grandfather died from an infection after getting his toenails clipped. The caregiver accidentally nicked him. He is actually the reason that certain home health companies will not allow their aides to trim nails. Edit. No. There was no lawsuit. I don't remember the details because this was in January 1996. I work in the home health care sector and help provide care plans. And this is exactly what I explain to new clients looking for nail care and assisted living. It's not that we're lazy or don't want to do it. It's if we cut and it can cause an infection which would make our company and staff liable. Edit. For the company I work for, we can provide foot soaks, etc. But other than that, absolutely nothing else. But we'll make sure to find them a professional that can come to their home, who can professionally provide them with that source of care. You won't believe how many elderly I've dealt with where the family leaves foot care to the back burner. Not their fault. There's already a lot going on and they have issues walking, wearing shoes, etc. because of how long they get making them walk funny, increasing the chance to fall. I highly recommend the importance of finding that care along with other professional care providers who take care of your moms, dads, grandparents, etc. Sorry for the long ramble. I just really care about our elderly and disabled needing help. Trusting people's blinkers to mean they are turning. My driver's ed teacher always said the only thing a blinker truly tells you is that the bulb is working. It stuck with me. When I took driver's ed, I was taught something very similar. The only thing a red light tells you is that they should stop. I avoided an accident doing my driver's test because I came to a stop sign and sat there to watch another driver completely blow the crossing stop sign. The driverist lady said, "We need more drivers on the road like me. Green lights only mean it's legal to go, not safe to go." That one is the one that stuck with me. Electricity. While working at a hydro dam, I witnessed a main power line detach from the generator and arc across the floor for about 10 seconds, withering like a snake. It gouged melted a deep trench in solid concrete. That's effing wild. Arcs are the scariest to me, especially redemption ones. Chickens while there are chicks present. My brother is a cruel little who liked being mean to animals while we were kids. He liked hurting them for the feeling of power it gave him. So he hurt a lot of small wildlife, like frogs and garter snakes and mice. When that stopped being enough, he decided to go after livestock. We had chickens. There was a great big rooster and his ladies, and all of them had chicks. My job was to take care of the chickens, feed, water them, collect eggs, act. My brother was bigger and stronger than me. So one day he decided to have fun and grabbed up one of the little chicks in the coop and squeezed it until it started to scream for help. My attempts to stop him did nothing. Now the chickens were used to me picking up the chicks and petting them, so they weren't alarmed when my brother picked up the chick. When it screamed, however, all heck broke loose. All the chickens went after him, going for his face and eyes. The rooster had spurs on his legs over an inch long, and he cut big grooves on my brother's face, missing his eyes by millimeters. They swarmed him and bullied him until he dropped the chick and ran out of the coop crying with blood on his face. He was 10 at the time and should have known better. Did he stop being mean to animals? No. Did they punish him for it when they could? The animals sure did. Chickens are very much like the cuckoos in the Zelda games. If you hurt one, they will all swarm you. Your brother is a total piece of sh. Being careless in the shower. A few years ago, I was showering and I forgot the new bottle of conditioner sitting in the counter. I slipped on some shampoo residue in a rush to get out of the shower because no likey cold air. I slammed my ribs against the porcelain tub, completely knocked the wind out of me. But I somehow managed to crawl out of the shower and bathroom to make it to my phone, genuinely thinking I would have to call an ambulance to take my naked A to the hospital. Thankfully, that wasn't necessary as I laid down and caught my breath, but I had pretty bad rib pain for at least a month after and only a tiny bruise to show for it. After that experience, I could absolutely see how falling in the shower can kill a person. Anyway. Now, I don't rush when exiting the shower, and I always bring my phone in the bathroom because that naked wet crawl on the floor to retrieve it was humiliating, and I'd rather not go through it again. Our old housemate got super baked and slipped in the shower afterward. While just me and my now husband were there, I heard a horrible thud and then him wailing. My now husband had to bust in the door and pull him out of the shower because he went silent and wasn't responding to us yelling for him by the time we got up the stairs. He knocked his head so hard he started convulsing and having a seizure. Had to call an ambulance. He thankfully got away with a concussion. I had a boyfriend that got super high and sat in the bath with a glass of wine. Got up and his blood pressure dropped and he hit his head and also had a seizure. Not quite the same scenario, but still so eerie. It was genuinely terrifying. I remember watching his eyes roll back in his head while I cried on the phone with the dispatcher, thinking he was going to die at the top of the stairs. We were all only around 20 years old at the time. Forever grateful it wasn't any worse. My health. Getting older, you rediscover all those old hurts. When I was 20, I hyperextended both elbows playing volleyball. 15 years later, my elbows started aching in the winter. Also my teeth. It falls under health. But not everyone thinks about the dentist when they think about health. If you are reading this, please floss. It's a small thing that can make a huge difference later. Trust me? I have started flossing daily late 30s, and every night I'm like, WTF, wasn't I doing this my whole life? The SH that comes out sure explains all my cavities. Yup. I really started giving a sh about flossing when I went to the dentist, and they told me I had 7 cavities. I said, how can I have 7? I brush twice a day and use mouthwash to my surprise. All my cavities were between my teeth. That sucked. Now I floss. Bonus story, the last time I went to get my teeth cleaned, I apologized to the dental hygienist because I still am going through a breakup and have been skipping floss brushing some days. She laughs and says something to the effect of, "Oh, you're fine. I actually wished more people came in like your teeth. It's really clean," and that was the first time I have ever had a dental anything tell me that they were proud of me rather than disappointed. That is all. I was on such a high when my dentist told me that I had lovely clean teeth. I told them how stoked I was about it too. I think some dentists just tell everyone to brush floss more even if they have clean teeth, which is so annoying since it is like you can never win. Then I had that dentist who complimented me on my clean teeth. Felt awesome? I hope my son gets my husband's teeth. He skips brushing, eats chalk in bed, doesn't floss or mouthwash, and somehow his teeth are always fine. Meanwhile, I do all of the things and have so many fillings. As a kid, I wondered why I hardly flossed, and yet I always had perfectly cavity-free teeth whenever I went to the dentist. Discovered several years later that my saliva is exceptionally basic, meaning it does a better job of neutralizing acids, the main agents of enamel degradation, than most people's, and that saliva pH varies significantly from person to person. I have no idea if it's genetic, though. Garage door springs, pay a professional to mess with that SH. Dear Lord, that's terrifying. The tension on those things is immense. Had one snap a few years ago, and my home office is above the garage. I jumped out of my chair so hard. It was louder than a large caliber gunshot and rang in my ears for about an hour. Jesus, I didn't know it was that bad. Newfound respect. Fridays. In the IT world, we call it Reddenly Friday. Don't change anything. If I see another engineer on the team do a deploy on Friday, I set myself to Do Not Disturb. We have informal Fridays, our high-priority bug fixes only guideline. I wasn't paying attention to the day and my password expired on a Friday, so I changed it. By Monday, I hadn't a clue what it could have been. Outside a narrow window. US engineers can be pretty stupid. Meth ruined my life for a while and I had to fight tooth and nail to get it back. 18 months clean. For real, when you hear not to try 'em, not even once, heed that warning. Same here. Congrats, it's still hard for me to shake the embarrassing things I did while high. Don't judge past you with the knowledge you have today. Find peace in your growth. Ticks. Lyme disease sucks, y'all. Ended up with bilateral Bell's palsy because of it, and my joints scream at me like I'm a much older man, an X to OOB, and that not even the worst thing that ticks carry. Edit. A letter. Got Lyme's disease and had no idea. Felt awful and went to see the doctor. He said my symptoms were classic Lyme's disease. I was confused cause I didn't have the ring. Doctor told me to drop my pants and bend over. Sure enough, there was the ring, right between my cheeks. He said I probably got bit right on my butthole and ripped the tick out when I wiped. But the head was still embedded and transferred the disease to me. Fortunately recovered with no long-term issues. Doctor, I feel awfulder. Show me your butthole immediately. I don't like this episode of House. Never trust a trench or a hole over your shoulders deep. You will die a horrible death. Yes, at the beach too. I think the rule is belly deep. Any higher and the dirt or dislike for falling in can crush your lungs and make it impossible to breathe. Beach patrol at the beaches we go to say no higher than the knee of the shortest person in your group. Happened to a family I knew. Family was at the beach, playing in the sand. Some of the older kids dug a large hole in the sand. Youngest kid, 6 years old, starts playing in the hole and it collapsed in on him. They couldn't get to him in time and he died. New fear unlocked, being the dad in that situation.